What's up, everybody? This is Jimmy with Trading Decoded, and it is that time of the week again. It's time to recap the baby account. That is the account that I've been trading publicly so that I could show everybody what is capable of being done with small accounts when the system that I use is implemented properly. So as usual, we'll start off by loading up trading Ameritrade, TD Ameritrade's website. I'm going to go ahead and refresh so that you can see it's really there. This chart here shows from the date of inception, or when I started this challenge, you could see that the balance was $35.59. And we move right on up through current day, and we are at $2,236.21. And yeah, so that's a pretty good gain of like 63 or 6,400% over the course of basically a month. I'm going to go ahead and show you what the week's gains were. Let's see. Do the 25th of the April. Okay, so we started closing out, not the Friday that passed yesterday, but the previous Friday. Our balance was $1,575, and we moved that up to $2,236. This is over the course of the week, this being Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, and then this is the previous Friday where we closed, right? How did we get there? Well, let's take a look at TradingView. Monday the 28th, I took a lot of trades, was right on enough of them to be $133 profitable, but I bought a single put right out of the open. I sold that quickly for a $14 profit. That was just to get my mind at ease, be up a little bit. It's always nice being up on the first trade of the day. And then I bought 5 more puts, assuming that this run down was going to continue. Now, let me tell you this. Every trade that I took this week that ended up going against me was a direct result of my lack of patience. Because had I waited for what my normal rules are, which are waiting for a high of day to be put in and a low of day to be put in, and then waiting to see what the next move is, whether it's a break of that high a day or a lower low. So a lower high or a higher high. That'll give me some sort of a trend. And as you can see, I had a high here, a low here. Then I put in a little bit higher of a high, higher of a high. And as you can see, we started to trend up. But long and short of it is I bought 5 puts because I got in early. I sold those 4 minutes later for a $140 loss. That's how I started the day, except this $14 gain. At the same time, I bought 7 calls. I scaled out of that position, selling the first 2 for a $42 profit, the next 3 for a $159 profit. Then I sold 1 for a $44 profit, and then I sold the final one for a $1 loss. I immediately bought 2 minutes later another put. And shortly thereafter, around 10:22 in the morning, I went ahead and sold that for a $15 profit. And that was the end of my trading day for Monday, up $133. So move on to Tuesday. Let me turn off pre-market. Okay, Tuesday. Again, as I said just before, every one that went against me was because of a lack of patience. And it showed right here. I tried to catch this momentum. I assumed that we would fill this big wick. I got in literally at the top, short, just short of the top. Bought 5 calls, sold them out 4 minutes later for a $150 loss. It's never a fun way to start your day. But the very next candle, I immediately bought 5 puts, and I proceeded to scale out of those. I sold the first 3 for $93 profit, sold another one for $56 profit, and sold the final one for an $85 profit. And then later in the day, I took one more position. I bought a call late in the day. I sold it very quickly thereafter for only a $4 profit. I didn't feel like giving up any more gains. So instead of risking anything, I just closed the trade. I finished that day off up $77. All right. Wednesday, the 30th. Once again, my impatience showed. But this time I had a little bit more of a bias by the time I bought these puts. And the reason I bought the puts was because of the size of the wicks. The number of wicks at the tops of all these candles while we were chopping sideways, I was feeling like we were going to be going down at some point. Obviously, we don't know when. Obviously, I didn't know if I was going to be right. But that was my feeling. That was my conviction. And I went with it. So basically, I bought a single put at 9:42 in the morning. To hedge that position, I went ahead and bought 2 calls, which happened to be what I think ended up being the high of the day, because that's just my luck. So now I'm holding 1 put, 2 calls. I bought an additional put, so now I'm 2 and 2, but I averaged down on those. So my losses aren't that bad, because as we go down, my calls are losing value, but my puts are gaining value, and vice versa. I ended up selling those 2 calls for a $76 loss. And then this probably wasn't a good idea, even though it ended up working out just fine. I bought 10 more puts at the same strike as these 2, averaging down even more. And as you could see here, I started to scale out pretty quickly. I wanted to take my profits, mitigate this loss that I had, and, get green again. So I sold 6 of them for a $72 profit, 3 of them for a $48 profit, 1 of them for a $20 profit, and that got me out of those. And then shortly thereafter, the remaining 2 puts I did on this first green candle, not knowing if we were going to go back up. So I went ahead and closed those for a $68 profit. And when I saw this little tiny candle here, this doji type candle, I then bought 5 more puts, because after one of my rules and one of my signs are when you get big green or big red candles up or down, it doesn't matter, and you start to get these little bodied candles shortly after, usually that means we have a good chance of rolling back over, or at the very least trading sideways. I assume when that happens, when we go from down to sideways or up to sideways, I like to believe that the move that got us down there or up there is going to continue after that sideways trading. Again, it's been a higher probability move for me to take that position, understanding nothing is guaranteed. So in this case, we were moving down. We tried to move up, got smaller bodies. I got into puts here, assuming we were going to roll over. We did. I sold those 5 puts for $118, closing the day out up $250. Okay, this day was pretty quick and easy. This was Thursday. Went ahead and bought 5 puts right at the open. And the reason I bought puts here, you can't see it on this chart, but in pre-market, there was a pretty big red candle right before open. I was going to use that as a momentum play. I bought my 5 puts. I sold them literally 8 minutes after open for $121 profit. And then I bought another call and sold it quickly thereafter, not wanting to risk what I had already made for an $11 profit. We made $126 that day. Now the doozy. Friday was pretty bad for me. I made a video specifically on what happened to me on Friday, but I'm going to go over it quickly here in this video as well for those of you who didn't watch that. I must say that I had a very strong bias to calls on Friday. The reason I think that is because of the sell-off we had closing out Thursday, in conjunction with the fact that that was the end of the month or the quarter, and there was rotations happening in the market, and April's usually a bullish month. It may be, it may not be irrelevant. None of this should matter, but it affected my judgment, and this is why I did what I did. And so I thought this Friday we were going to move up. And as a result, despite everything being obvious, downtrend, lower lows, lower highs, none of that mattered to me for whatever reason. And yeah, so I bought 5 calls there. I averaged down buying 5 more. So now I'm holding 10 calls as we continuously fall down. Okay. Now here's the crazy part. I think my price on these, the max I could lose was $770 or $720, something like that. I don't remember what my average was. It was in the 70s though. Might have been $71 or $72. I was so close to having max loss by the time I cut those that I question now why I waited, or why I didn't just hold them at that point. But I didn't, and I ended up taking the first trade of the day was a realized loss of $620. I broke every rule in the book. I held and hoped. I went against the chart. I was impatient, and I was prepared to be humbled. You know, I'm a human too, and I'm going to make mistakes. And I went through every single emotion that I thought that I had grown away from ever having again. And it sucked. Increased my heart rate, panicking feeling, sweating. It was terrible. And I feel really bad for people who trade like that every day. So I had to make a decision on this massive journey down, which ended up being, at this point, would have been like a 35% hit on the overall account had I stopped trading right here. I had to get my mind right. I had to accept that what I had done was stupid, and then I had to do what I know how to do best, which is practice patience, know what I'm looking at, have confidence in myself. And so I began, and I decided to not trade for the purposes of getting profitable or even breaking even, but to make this number smaller, even if by a little. So I bought 10 puts. Now, mind you, by the time I got here, I still had, I think, $1,400 left of the account to use. Bought 10 puts here, not wanting to mess around too much. I sold 5 of them for $110 profit very quickly after. I sold another 3 for $98 profit, and then I sold the other 2 for a $77 profit. This happened to be near the bottom of the day, so I had minimized this to being down, I don't know, $350 at this point, if memory serves me, whatever the case. It was better than $620. But then, as we started to move up, and breaking a strong level of resistance, which happened to be sitting right around this zone, I went ahead and bought 5 more calls. And it paid off. Because not only did those calls get me out of the mess I was in, at one point, they got me all the way up to being up $300 on the day. Now, again, emotion took over, and I started to trade again with greed. And instead of cutting it and taking my profits being up $300 after being down $620, I only closed the day off with a $90 profit. I regret the fact that I let greed enter my day even after what I had just traded my way out of. But I am very fortunate and very lucky that I didn't take the size of the hit that I should have. That was a lesson learned, again, even though I know that lesson well, having done that a lot in the beginning years of my trading. But this is never an easy game, guys. It's not, and it's never going to be. Controlling your emotions gets easier with time because you learn how to mitigate the emotions, whether it's position size, whether it's confidence, whether it's account size, whatever it is, it becomes easier. And I'm living proof of it because look at what I've done here with this account. $35 to whatever we're at now, $2,250 or whatever. It's doable. You just got to do it right. And while I was kicking my own ass in this trade on this account, patience on another small account I had, which had about $300 in it, I took 3 trades and made $110. So I made more in less time with no stress on a $300 account than I made during the course of a day, super stressed out on a $2,200 account. Let that sink in for a minute. If you take good trades, you can make plenty of money with very little risk. Anyway, that's pretty much it. This is how we closed out the week. This is where we are as far as the overall account goes since its inception. And this is the percentage gain on the week and on the life of this journey. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I hope you guys are following along. I hope you're understanding how I'm getting there, and I hope it gives you a little bit of hope to see that it's possible. If you enjoy these videos, please throw me a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell notification. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section. And as far as our community and our Discord and all that, I have all those links in the description box. Feel free to join us, check us out. And until the next one, we'll see you in a week or so. I'll talk to you soon. See ya!